I would like to acknowledge the presence of the following special guests who are here for this event. First of all, His Worship, the Mayor of Quinte West, John Williams. We also have here, I think he may still be here, His Worship Neil Ellis, Mayor of the City of Belleville. We have Tom Roy Feisel, Chief Petty Officer, First Class, Royal Canadian Navy. We have the Honourable Robert Milligan, MLA for Northumberland Quinte West. We have Beth Bruder, Vice President of Dundurn Publishing. And then we have three veterans of the HMCS Trentonian, Bill Shields from Oakville, Jim Irwin from Bancroft, and Gord Gibbons from Lindsay. We also have with us today a number of family members of a number of deceased crew members. We have Mrs. Marion Lewis and her family from Moose Jaw, Saskatchewan. That's the wife and family of Lewis Murphy. We have the Dodd family. We also have the Glasgow family of Colin Glasgow, who had for a while was the commanding officer of HMCS Trentonian. And as well, we have representatives from the Shadbolt family. And as well, not to be forgotten, we have Mark McGee, who's an artist who has created this amazing painting of the HMCS Trentonian. First of all, I would like to ask His Worship, John Williams, Mayor of the City of Quinte West, to say a few words.
Welcome, everybody. Nice to see so many here, and particularly welcome to our veterans here today. Maybe you could just put your hand up, because I'm not sure everybody knew. Put your hand up who you are. Give them a big hand again. Because it is a fantastic story. Not only about the ship and all that, but more importantly, I think Roger's tried to capture the people in the stories and what the guys went through during that time. And for our generation, my generation, and certainly my kids' generation, they have no idea what this is all about, or what this was all about, and what they went through. So I think telling this story is really, really important. I also wanted to find out a little bit about how this happened. So there was a mayor here by name of, his last name was Corey, and Mayor Corey at the time. The government used to allow you, I guess, as a municipality or a community, you could put your names in for, calling ships as they were being built. And in this case, Mayor Corey in the community of Trenton submitted some names, and the first name they used was, I think, Trent, and then they put the name Quinte in, because we're on the Bay of Quinte, and then they put Mount Pelion, which is up a big high hill here, right? And then they put Trentonia, Trentonia. So that's what they submitted, right? So they sent that over, and the king had to sign it. So the king, I don't know what happened. Somebody made an error in the typing, and it came out Trentonian. So the king signed it. He didn't know, right? So they sent it back, and they didn't want the king to have to re-sign it, so they just left it as Trentonian. So that's probably a good idea. But the citizens were very involved, and they asked the citizens. The reason part of that was to support the ship itself, right? To be able to give stuff. So in this case, whether it was clothing, in some cases it was a radio. They actually even gave a piano. Citizens gave a piano. I think there was a washing machine involved too somewhere along the line, because these guys, they needed that kind of support. So the community sort of adopted the ship, which I thought was a great story in itself. And when they christened the ship in Kingston, Mrs. Corey, the mayor's wife, was given the honor of with the champagne bottle. So they got the ship up there, and then they knocked the thing out, and so she goes to wheel the thing over, and she misses because the ship had already taken off, right? So one of the workers there just grabbed it, threw it, and banged it against the side of the ship. So that's how they got the champagne out. That was a really good story. The other thing in there I found interesting is that they asked them, what did the cook do most of the time? It was called red, lead, and bacon. Does that sound right? Red, lead, and bacon. For those of us who don't know.
My father used to call it shit on a shingle.
probably tastes like that too. But it was actually stewed tomatoes and fried bacon. Remember that? Stewed tomatoes and fried bacon. So they call it red, lead, and bacon. I think I've gone to the Battle of the Atlantic every year over here in the park. And they read the names off and they hit the bell and stuff, but I don't think you really truly understand what that means until you read this book and understand the story of what these gentlemen did. So I just want to say on behalf of the City of Quinte West how proud we are to have you here, to be part of this, to be part of Trenton, and to have this this ship that was named after Trenton, and the veterans here today and the families of others. I think it says a lot for our country. So thank you very much for being here. Roger, thank you for doing a great job on this book. I think you've represented it extremely well. Thank you.
It truly is an honor to be here with you fine folks this afternoon, and I want to thank Roger for encapsulating the memories, the stories of you fine gentlemen who served on the Trentonian. And as a former high school teacher of Canadian history and a lover of history, I really do appreciate what you've done, Roger. And you know, the stories that are told in these books really do bring to life the experiences, both the good times and the tragic moments that you have impressed upon yourselves. But I think it's important, as Mayor Williams pointed out, generations of Canadians, my generation obviously has not experienced what you fine gentlemen and women have had to endure, and to make sure that we enjoy the freedoms and the liberties that we currently have. So to Mr. Shields, Mr. Gibbons, and Mr. Irwin, who are here today, thank you very much, gentlemen, for your service to your country, on the Trentonian in particular, and to the family members of those who are not with us today, but their spirit is. And Roger, thank you for encapsulating their spirit in this book. With that, I'm going to keep it quiet. So thank you very much.
Mr. Milligan, your worships, Roger, veterans, in 3 weeks tomorrow, Canadians coast to coast to coast will gather at Cenotaphs, Naval Reserve Units and Legions to remember the sacrifices that ship's companies, men and women that came from all walks of life across Canada, endured during the longest battle of the Second World War, which ran from 39 to 45, not being the Battle of the Atlantic. There would have been no success in Europe if it had not been for the efforts of the navies of getting supplies and men to England. Gentlemen, I can tell you today that the Navy that you brought up from infancy through adolescence to maturity to a third level world-class power by the end of the Second World War exists today in your modern Royal Canadian Navy. And it's through your efforts, through your tenacity, through your comradeship, through your leadership, that we stand upon your shoulders today so that we can, in turn, continue to commemorate, to celebrate, and commit to Canada and the future young Canadians who choose to serve in naval service. Service to one's country is noble work. You gentlemen have done it in spades. On behalf of the men and women of the Royal Canadian Navy, thank you very much.
My job here is to say thank you very much for Roger, because without a dedicated author like Roger, many of these stories would be lost forever. The photos that he's discovered, all of the things that he's done to make this a real book are very impressive. At Dundurn, I'd like to say thank you to our governments as well. Without the support for Canadian publishing, many of these stories would never be published. We're a big country with a small market, and so thank you to our governments for their publishing support so we can tell these stories. At Dundurn, we've always tried to publish stories for Canadians and by Canadians, and with Roger, we just hit pay dirt. It was great. We have a large library on World War II books and stories and battles, and we would like more. So if you have one or you know of somebody, I think that's important to let us know. But on behalf of Dundurn, I want to thank Roger. I really want to thank you for all your hard work, meeting his publishing deadlines, for his unflagging enthusiasm, which is contagious, but most of all, his ability to tell a very good story. Congratulations, Roger.
What a day. What an absolute glorious day of celebration of the service of our men in our armed forces and the Royal Canadian Navy. Before I get too far in, I'd like to thank Mayor Williams, Mayor Ellis, Rob Milligan, Chief Rifsell, and Beth for the kind words that have been put forward today. More importantly, or not more importantly, sorry for that, but the veterans of our ships, the families, several families are here, the Lewis family all the way from Moose Jaw. Absolutely wonderful to have you here. The Glasgow family, the Dodd family, and the Chadbold family. Without the participation of your fathers in this story and the lives that they lived at that point in time, this book would not have turned out to be what it was. It's unfortunate that they can't be here with us. To the veterans that are here, Bill Shields, Gord Gibbons, and Jim Irwin, I can't thank the three of you enough. Your actions during that time in Trentonian, for those brief 15 months that she was in commission, have given our nation what we have today. And our Navy is built on the foundations that you and your shipmates and your fellow sailors and the Wrens and the other members of the Canadian Forces laid for us in those years. And for that, every one of us, you have our gratitude. To Mark. Mark doesn't want to say any words. He is the artist of the cover for this book. And you talk about judge a book by its cover. Holy crap. What an amazing painting. It's been hanging in my office for the last 2 years. It left my office on Monday and I miss it dearly. We'll deal with that in just a moment. This story, this ship, what started off as a project to teach some 10 to 13-year-old cadets has developed into a national story. For the most part, the ship had been forgotten for history, but little did anybody realize that it would be the last Corvette of all the Corvettes built. And Corvettes were used not only by Canada, but the Royal Navy, the Polish, the Norwegians, the French, and even the Germans captured 4 from the French and used them too. Of all of those ships, Trentonian was the last one to be lost in enemy action. That's not just a Canadian story, that's a world moment in history. And you guys lived it. We don't know what our actions today will do for future years or generations. None of us ever expect what we do today will influence tomorrow. But there are those people amongst us that have. And for that, this book would not have been possible without you. Before I go too much further, because we want to move on to the book signing, I'd like to thank everybody today for coming out. Your support today is absolutely wonderful. I am absolutely shocked by the turnout today. I'd like to thank Robert for not just emceeing today, but you've given me an unbelievable amount of help in the last 12 years with the archives here and the connections to the city. Thank you so much. I'd like to thank the library board. Without the facilities that are here and the archives that are here and the dedicated people, the book would be missing that entire chapter, and the event today would not be what we have. And thank you to the library. I would also like to thank Rhonda. And our kids, all 6 of them. For 12 years now, they have been dragged on family holidays to museums and archives and all sorts of little dusty, tucked out of the way joints. And I would like to say without fuss, but no. But they did, and they're here now. One, my son joined the Air Force. I still love him. But most of our kids are spread out throughout the country, and you know, they are here. They are here. So, moving on, I'd like to do one thing, and part of when Mark approached me with this painting, he said, "It's mine if I want it," and I absolutely want it, and you'll understand why in a moment here. But I also knew it's an incredible work of art. It is an important work of art. And yes, it's been in my office for almost 2 years, and I've looked at it every day, and a wonderful inspiration to the writing. But I also knew in my office I would be the only one to enjoy it. So I accepted it from Mark, providing he donates it to the library so that everybody can see it. Mark has, in a very short period of time, become well known in the Canadian naval and maritime artistic community as one of our premier artists in Canada. A lot of his work is on display in Picton at the Naval Marine Archive at the Victory, and it's well worth going down and seeing. He also has a website. He doesn't like to talk, but he's an incredible person to talk to, and I really enjoy it. Before we unveil it, I do have one other subject I want to bring up. The story that's captured in Trentonian is not unique. It is a story that was lived by 100,000 Canadians during the war, our naval story. The Battle of Atlantic became the longest single battle to be fought in the history of mankind. In the history of mankind. And it is the only theater of the war that was commanded by Canadians. We commemorate it the first Monday in May every year in 3 weeks' time. But we do not commemorate it physically. How do you commemorate a battle where the graves are at sea? You know, we have Vimy, which is being celebrated right now, one of the greatest battles in Canadian history. But we do not have anything for the Battle of Atlantic. Right now, in Halifax, the process has begun to do just that. And that's called the Battle of Atlantic Place. It's going to be a 4-acre building built on top of the harbor of Halifax. And it will be very similar in comparison to the Juno Beach Center that has been built in France. People will be able to come, they'll be able to see the last Corvette HMCS Sackville. But it will also be an interpretive center. And you will walk into there, and you will be taken back to 1939, 1940, 41, 42, 43, 44, and 45. You will walk into a room, and you will be standing on the bridge of a Corvette. And all around you, on screens, will be a convoy, and it will be under attack, and it will be moving. The goal is to open this in what year? What year are they opening it?
17.
17? Yeah, 2017. And they need our support. It is the support of every single Canadian needs to be given to this. There is a display at the back of the room. I encourage everybody to take a look at it. They need $100 million. It's that simple. But it's something that has to be done. It needs to be done. And if we don't do this, we are letting go of our history, our self-worth, and what the sacrifice has been given by the Canadians that have gone on before us. So please take a look and familiarize yourself, because you will be hearing a lot about it in the next few years. So right now, Mark, if I can get you to come up, and I'd also ask our veterans, Bill and Jim and Gord, if you can come up. I'd like you to unveil the painting for all of us to see.
Go ahead. Let her go, boys.
Figured. Beautiful. Thank you.
One more minute.
So happy to be able to talk to you.
Water?